Hello and welcome to yet another Grumpy Sound Guy video. Today we're going to be talking about ASCAP and who they are, how they have been practicing the art of collecting royalties for major artists and authors and publishers and stuff like that over the years, and how that affects the cover band market. We're going to talk about who should be paying royalties to ASCAP, inside the cover band market, and we're just going to kind of open the floor in the comments section to your all's feedback on this subject. And I know it's a hot button subject. I know a whole bunch of people been commenting on the post I put up earlier this week about what we were going to be talking about in this coming week. And when I hit the ASCAP button, there were some people triggered over that. So we're going to dive into all that. So stick around, okay? Okay, so before we dive into today's content, let me remind you to please subscribe to the YouTube channel. It's absolutely free to subscribe. 80% of you guys watching this video right now is not subscribed to the channel. If you enjoy this content and you enjoy my perspective on the music business and my kind of like street smarts, down to earth, budget conscious kind of mindset on reviewing gear and trying to teach you guys how to make maximum amount of money with minimum amount of gear, man, hit that subscribe button. Like I said, it's absolutely free. It doesn't cost anything. Hit the notification bell so you'll get a notification every time we post a video. I have no way of taking that information of you being subscribed and using it in any kind of spam manner or anything like that. So when you subscribe to the channel and hit that notification bell, you're just going to get an alert whenever I post a video. We do daily shorts almost every day, short form videos, and then at least once a week, every Wednesday at 8, we do the Grumpy Sound Guy show. But I'm trying to pour more content into the channel. So we're getting up to 2 and 3 videos a week now, long form videos. We're having these kind of conversations, like we're going to have today, and really dive in deep and get into the nuts and bolts of whatever the day's subject is. Now, if you're already a member or already a subscriber and you just really dig what's going on here and you want to see more of this filtered to you, I would ask you to become a member of the channel. You can do that for as low as about $5 a month. That's about the price of a cup of coffee at Starbucks or something like that. Probably, in my area, it's less than a price of a cup of Starbucks coffee. And it gives you inside access to member-only videos that will never be made public. At least that's kind of the way I'm structuring it. So if you're not a member, you're not going to see that content anyplace else but on the member side of the YouTube channel. There's a couple different packages there that give you a couple different quirks and things like that. We're planning right now, in the planning process of putting together some live chats where we're going to get on there and just kind of talk back and forth to each other. Members always get my attention, even if we're over on my Facebook profile, the JR Everhart Facebook profile, and you send me a private message. If I know you're one of my members, I typically answer your questions. I'll even come over and do a video for your question on the member side specifically for you, which is pretty much the way I've been handling that. And I think that's been working really well. So yeah, get on the train, man. Be in the inner circle. Sit at the cool kids table in the cafeteria of Grumpy Sound Guy followers and become a member of the channel. Also, one last thing, and then we're going to dive into the conversation. Please jump over to the clpaudio.com website. Check that out. There's a merch store there that you can buy all kinds of goofy, cool, Grumpy Sound Guy swag and merch that I have created and put up on there. Or maybe you want to support my company and fly the CLP Audio and Staging colors as your next gig. Man, that's the place to do it. I barely make a nickel off of any of that merch that's happening over there on that site. We're actually in the process of revamping the website and stuff like that. But get over there, clpaudio.com, clpaudio.com, and check out all the things that are going on over there. Let's get back to the conversation. Okay, so what is ASCAP? A lot of you Gen Z and millennials may not even know who ASCAP is or what they are or what they do. ASCAP is an acronym for American Society of Composers, Authors, and Publishers. They were created by some of the world's most renowned authors and publishers back as early as 1914. And they are a nonprofit organization that basically works for their members in collecting royalties for anyone who uses their, their content, uses their music, uses their written word, all that kind of stuff, and we really hadn't heard a whole bunch, unless you're like an industry insider or you're a songwriter, or something like that, or you're a nationally recognized artist, author, or publisher. That's when you will know who ASCAP is, because all those people, all the people you listen to on your Spotify stream, all the people that you follow, musicians and authors and such that you follow, are all members of ASCAP. ASCAP and I think BWI or BMI or something like that was the other one. ASCAP's the big one. So unless you're one of those cats, or you're someone who has, like I said, been a songwriter and sent stuff in through ASCAP to be considered by nationally touring musicians, you really don't know anything about these guys. Let me kind of let you in on what is going to be very uncomfortable. This is going to be triggering, and I'm just going to let you know out of the gate, man, you are going to be triggered by the things that I'm going to say here today, if you're in a cover band or a tribute band or something like that. In our area, I live about 90 minutes west of the Washington, D.C., Baltimore, Maryland, Twin Cities, in the eastern panhandle of West Virginia. We are right along the I-81, Interstate 81 corridor. Our company, CLP Audio, actually works Harrisburg, Pennsylvania to Harrisonburg, Virginia, north and south. We don't really do a whole bunch of stuff west, but we do a whole enormous amount of stuff east, into both DC and Baltimore, as well as like Dewey Beach, Delaware, Ocean City, Maryland. That's kind of our stomping ground. Most of that stuff to the east is where it probably makes up 95% of our business. So I say that to say this. Out here in West Virginia, we're not really the target of anybody trying to chase down royalties, right? You would think so. But about 10, maybe 15 years ago or something, we had some ASCAP people come through the area and basically hit almost every nightclub with bills and invoices for royalties that they owe for, number one, using the jukebox. You have to pay royalties on, if you're using that music to draw people in or entertain people in any way, you owe ASCAP money and royalties. Whether it's the jukebox or it's live bands or whatever. They even shut down a couple shows. Like there was a local music store here that used to do a yearly kind of like barbecue parking lot kind of gig, and would have a couple local cover bands come out and do their thing. And ASCAP showed up and literally shut the show down because no one had paid any royalties for the music that was being played. That music store moving forward only booked original acts, whether they were local, regional, or national, for that yearly picnic barbecue thing that they did moving forward. In fact, I think they only did it for a year or two after that, and the original acts weren't putting people in the event that the cover bands had, because they were trying to book, well-known cover bands. And the whole idea of this is to bring people in through the store and all that kind of stuff. I mean, this is in the days of bricks and mortar, music stores. And I'm telling you, 15 years ago was not that long ago. They hit every bar in the area with mailed, snail mail bills as much as $1,200. I heard one bar owner tell me, because a bunch of those guys reached out to me, because I was kind of a heavyweight in one of the area's biggest classic rock bands at the time. And everybody kind of knew me as the music guy, and I was really good, close friends with a lot of those bar owners. And my phone rang several times saying, hey man, what do you think I should do with this? You know, I'm like, well, I mean, if they're going to chase you down for this, obviously you owe the money if you're using other people's music to entertain your crowds. It's the same kind of idea of like NFL ticket, you know, and stuff like that. If you're using the game as a means to draw people to your club, or at the very least entertain people while they're at your club, then you need to pay for NFL ticket. Well, obviously with NFL ticket, you're paying the NFL directly. In this scenario, ASCAP is the nonprofit that roams around the country and, you know, collects these royalties. They're the guys that chase it down. So that really, I mean, they were even going to strip clubs and trying to hit up dancers to pay royalties to the music that they were playing, or they were playing while they were dancing, because, you know, a lot of those girls were using nationally recognized cover music for their routines on stage. Well, I know personally that there were 2 or 3 of those entertainers that approached some local bands and asked them for the ability to use their original music, you know, to perform to. I know 2 or 3 different metal bands that were approached in that time that way, and I know one entertainer specifically. I'm trying to speak of personal experience here and not, you know, speak too far into this. I want to use facts, not speculation. But yeah, I know one entertainer specifically that had went to a local metal band and had them record some stuff that kind of was a little more compatible with her form of entertainment. And she paid rights to that band for that music, and those were the only 8 songs that she would perform to, because ASCAP was chasing people down. You know, ASCAP was making people, you know, do this, that, and the other. Now, that leads us to the whole conversation of, should a cover band be paying royalties to ASCAP for the music that they're playing? Or is cover bands in a different category than, say, tribute bands, to where a tribute band is specifically trying to emulate and build a brand and a company, a financial, you know, profitable company off of someone else's music, to where a cover band is kind of just stabbing in the dark, you know, playing music from a variety of different artists. I have heard the conversation that tribute bands should pay royalties, and I know some tribute bands that pay royalties because they're supported by the national acts that they're covering. And then the other side of that conversation is cover bands are just kind of up-and-coming musicians. They're not really taken seriously by the national artists, you know, mindset. We've seen a ton of videos surface in the last 10, 15 years of artists stumbling upon someone covering their music in a local cafe or in a winery or a brewery, something, and actually getting up on stage with them and playing their own music with the cover band. So that tends to make me feel like that specific artist in those videos are someone who is really okay with the fact that you can play their music. Oh, and also let me say, I meant to say this at the top of the video. If you hear some, it's raining, you know, I mean, it's like we've had Hurricane Helene just completely dang near wipe out the whole South, Mid-South, and up here into West Virginia, we have the remnants of that going on right now. Thankfully, we are not in any kind of danger. I think the worst of Helene dumped itself out in Tennessee and North Carolina. Our prayers are with those guys, and we are watching them closely online, and you know, sending our best to all those guys that are suffering with that. But yeah, it is raining here. It's been raining here for 2 weeks, actually. So forgive the noise. and all that kind of stuff. I actually bought some really cool microphones to do content with that has now quit working a month into owning them. So I am working through all that to try and do this better. So I'm trying to do the right thing here, guys. So just stick with me. Anyways, back on subject. So with ASCAP. So, I mean, what do you think, man? I mean, what is your take on this whole thing? You know, how do you feel about it? I know churches pay a yearly royalty to be able to play worship music that belongs to nationally recognized Christian artists. That's a thing, you know, especially when they are live streaming some of that stuff. This is why a lot of churches only live stream originally written worship music in their live stream because they don't want to pay that. But most churches, and I work with a ton of churches, man, I mean, and have worked with a ton of churches for the last 30 years of my career. I spent 15 years inside of church production. All those guys are paying like, I don't know, $1,500 to $2,000 a year or something to have the ability to play the worship music that is nationally recognized and that is underneath of the ASCAP umbrella. So yeah, man, I mean, that's really kind of the long and short of the conversation. I mean, if those cats show up at your gig, especially if you're in a club that has not paid any kind of royalties to ASCAP for using nationally recognized music, they can shut your show down. And I have seen them do it. You know, if they want to really be jerks, they can chase you, the artist, for a yearly fee to be able to play a list of artists that have agreed to allow their music to be covered by club level bands. Now, again, a lot of national artists do not feel threatened in any way, shape, or form by club level bands. All those artists started out as club level bands. So they're kind of paying it forward by not making a big deal out of chasing down, you know, your local cover band for royalties on music that they may, you know, I don't know. I mean, I know some cover bands that are making, you know, $100,000 a year or some kind of thing like that playing cover music. You know, in my mind, I'm thinking those guys have the budget to probably be able to pay some royalties because they're making legit money. You know, some of those cats are LLCs. You know, if you're that far in the rabbit hole of running your band like a business, which I always recommend, and I always, you know, that's part of our content here at the Grumpy Sound Guy YouTube channel, is to treat your band like a business and build your brand and marketing, and we talk about all that stuff on this channel. If that's the case, you should probably contact ASCAP and make sure that you're paying the correct royalties to the people who have given you music that will pack a dance floor. You did not write this music. This is the thing that I harp on all the time to cover bands is, dude, you're a cover band. You know, you're not the one responsible for writing the hits that you're playing every Friday and Saturday night that is packing a dance floor and putting money in your pocket. So technically, again, this is triggering, technically, you should be paying royalties to ASCAP to those people, because they're the ones that did the hard work of bringing their talent to the table and writing music people want to hear. You did not. I know it stings. I know it hits at our ego a little bit, but you did not write this music. So it is what it is. Tribute bands, especially if you're a traveling tribute band, you know, look, if you're, you know, if you're a local tribute band that plays 20 gigs a year, you know, and no one's really making any money because of all the expenses that it takes to do what you do, and you're kind of just doing it for fun, that's one thing. And that goes the same with cover bands. You know, if this is a hobby and it's just fun and you're not really making any serious money and you're probably spending more money on gear maintenance and getting to and fro from the show and on production costs and hiring sound guys and all that kind of stuff, and you're not showing a measurable profit, then I probably wouldn't worry about this, you know? But if you're someone who's knocking down stupid numbers, especially if you're like a decades band, like a 70s band, 80s band, 90s band, 2000s band who specialize in that decade of music, you know, you're playing 160 gigs a year, I would think ASCAP would find interest in what you're doing. And you're on social media, and on your website and everything, pushing your stuff to the 10th degree, even listing your set lists on your website, openly showing and acknowledging that you're playing someone else's music, which if you're doing your band correctly, that should be part of the equation. But maybe you should be paying ASCAP. Again, hit me up in the comments. We're going to stop there. Hit me up in the comments. Give me your 2 cents about this. Tell me how you feel about this. I know it's a heated subject. Don't get mad at me. I'm just a messenger. You do you, boo. You do whatever you want to do. I'm not the one running the band that are going to shut my show down. You know what I'm saying? And if they do, I'll gladly stop the show, and it is whatever it is. I'm not going to, bite off some $50,000 fine because I'm in, direct conflict with ASCAP. ASCAP is not playing any games, ladies and gentlemen. They are well established, and they have offices in every major city in the United States. They are based out of New York City, but they have offices in Nashville and Texas, LA, Chicago, Florida. I mean, they have offices everywhere. You're not going to get away from them. If you get in their crosshairs, you're going to play the game by their rules, or your band's going to fold up, or your club is going to stop having music. I had one club locally who shut down their jukebox for 2 or 3 months because of it, because they refused to pay ASCAP. They eventually came around because, on a Tuesday night, the jukebox is an important piece of the equation there and trying to make money. But it is what it is. I mean, that goes for all you DJs, all you karaoke guys. When ASCAP was coming through our area 15 years ago, they hit all those guys. They hit all of them. They all had to pay royalties or had to do something, with ASCAP to get them off their back. They have that authority. They have that power. So you give me your feedback. You tell me how you feel about it. And, let's get down there in the comments section and have a discussion. Thanks. See you next time.